So welcome guys to another session. Today I want to be talking about the art of prioritizing your inner peace. Okay, so this is an inspiration. Today's life and this topic is an inspiration that came from a meditation retreat that I did back in September. I went to a beautiful mountain here in Barcelona called Montserrat. It's a very magical mountain for me. It's very unique shape, it's very energetic, and I have spent a lot of time hiking there and slept there several times, and I really love it. And there is a Buddhist temple in there that they offer meditations, meditation retreats. So I was seeking for something like that in September. My intuition told me, Emilio, you have to go and do something like around meditation for a few days. So I decided to go there, and it was a beautiful experience. It was 3 days. I went with my tent. I was camping, so it was an extra experience of not having a room, just being in the wild camping. When I opened my tent, I saw the beautiful mountain in the background and the clouds and the trees, and it was beautiful. And the teachings around the meditation that we did there and what they shared were very nice. And there were a few key takeaways that I really want to bring here. I really want to share them with you, and I want to blend them with what I normally talk about. I want to blend them with communication, with organization, with executive functioning skills, with the day-to-day practicality of it. How can we integrate that ancient wisdom in our day-to-day lives in a practical way, in a way that is easy to take action on? And that's what I would like to share with you today. Just a few takeaways that hopefully you will feel inspired. Hopefully they will make you reflect and think about maybe new ways of being in your day-to-day life. So yeah, so thank you, Amanda, for being here. I have newfound time and see what calls to me. So and you find this talk amazing. So thank you so much. Let's get started first, because we are gonna be talking about inner peace. So why don't we get grounded a little bit? I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. Take a few deep breaths and enjoy the sound of the singing bowl. It's a Tibetan singing bowl. And when you are ready, you can come back. Yeah, thank you. I needed that today. I just came from a funeral of my friend Raul. His grandmother passed away a few days ago, and I went to a meeting before, and I was running around, and I really was feeling a little bit all over the place. So my inner peace wasn't here yet. So the singing bowl always helps me. So Alison says, what a great topic. I have visited Montserrat and have a bracelet from there. Amazing, Alison. Such a wonderful mountain. If any of you come to Barcelona anytime, I really recommend, if you have the time, to go to Montserrat. It's a beautiful mountain, it's a beautiful scenery, and if you're a hiker, don't just stay on the monastery. Just go up and hike up. And there are so many beautiful pathways that you can take. The views are stunning, and the energy of that place is so beautiful. So yeah, so amazing. So let's get started sharing about some of the takeaways from that Buddhist meditation retreat. First of all, I would like to ask to all of you, are you guys familiar with Buddhism? Are you guys familiar with the teachings? Do you practice maybe Buddhism? I would like to know if there is anyone here that maybe should be leading this talk instead of me. Me personally, I was in some countries where Buddhism was very prevalent. So I read a little bit about it. I experienced it in some of the countries. This meditation retreat, it was the first time for me to do something like that around Buddhism. So some people say yes, familiar with it, yes, no knowledge of it, yes, familiar with it, high breeze. Amazing. So some of you are familiar, some of you are not, and that's great. This is not about Buddhism, this is about what I got from that meditation retreat, and I felt inspired to share. So the first thing that really caught my attention was how they really teach you about how grateful we should be to be able to be here. Okay, so having a precious human life. Basically, they say that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and how easy it is to forget how lucky we are to have this opportunity to be here experiencing this reality. So that is the first thing that they were talking about. And then they were talking about death and the impermanence of things, using death as a motivation to make the best out of our human experience here, because you don't know when you're gonna die. We don't know when we're gonna go. We don't know when we're going to transition. And I don't know what your belief is around death, but death is something that we all are going to face sooner or later. And it doesn't have to be something negative. And today it's funny because today I came from a funeral. My good friend, he was saying bye to his grandmother. And I was reflecting about my trip when I was traveling around the world, and I was in I think it was Cambodia. We were hiking and we arrived to this village. And in that village, to me, they were having a big party. Lots of food, very colorful, lots of smiles and laughs. And I kind of went there and I asked someone, hey, what are you guys celebrating here? And it was a funeral. They were celebrating a funeral. They call it celebration of life. We are celebrating this person's life. We are remembering everything that all the experiences that we had, and we are encouraging this person to transition into whatever comes next with love, with happiness, and we want to be here for that person. And I thought, how wonderful that is, right? And how much sadness sometimes we have around death, and how much attachment we have to the people around us, and when they go, how painful it is. So using death to motivate yourself to really make every second count, make every day special. Don't wait for the future, because you don't know how much future you're gonna have. And this is something that I have heard in other areas too, in other podcasts. I have read in other books, using death as a motivation, using death as a awakening call. And if you think about it, I'm sure you may know someone who had an accident, who had a near-death experience, and how much that experience transformed that person. Sometimes a person completely changes the view of the world, their priorities, what they do, how they behave. They completely 100% change after they have a near-death experience, because it's like something that they realize, wow, life is really short. I don't have infinite amount of time. So how can I make the best out of every second that I have here? So it's really, really powerful, right? And they were talking about that. So how beautiful and how grateful we should be to have the opportunity to be here as humans and have this experience, human experience, and how we can use death as a motivation, death to put things in perspective, to remember how impermanent things are. I like the principles of Buddha. I am learning about Buddhism, and I include some of its principles in my spirituality. Amazing. Yeah, amazing. And this is the beautiful piece of this, that Maybe you don't agree, maybe you don't like everything, but there are key pieces that you will connect with, you will relate to. They will talk to you. And today I just want to share the ones that talk to me. Maybe your experience will be different if you were there, right? But so those are the first two key points. Then they talk about the actions that we do. They talk about the karma and the dharma. Karma being actions, every action that you do has an impact on yourself and in other people's lives. So you can choose to do good actions, to label them, and bad actions. You can choose to hurt someone, you can choose to love someone, you can choose to help someone, you can choose to ignore someone. And thinking and becoming aware of how you do that, right? What are the actions that you choose to take? And they talk about the importance of creating dharma, because they believe that we are in a samsara. Basically, we are being reborn constantly, and we are always kind of on this samsara wheel of life, rebirth, death. We're born, we die, we're reborn again. And they believe that the way out of that samsara is to get enlightened. And how do you get enlightened? Well, by doing the work, by creating a lot of dharma, by detaching from things. And then they talk about mental perturbations. Mental perturbations. What are they? Some examples of mental perturbations that may cloud your mind, and they also call it like a poison for your mind. These are thoughts, these are energies that we can get into that are not really good for us. So some examples are ignorance, confusion, doubt. How many of you doubt yourselves when you want to do something and you just don't want to get started because you doubt your ability, because maybe perfectionism get on the way, maybe you don't want to fail, maybe you are afraid of what other people are going to think about you. All those things they are a mental perturbation, really. They are something that is not really real. It's something that comes into your mind, but it's not the reality. It didn't happen most likely yet. You're just making an assumption. You're just having a thought of something that is a possibility, but it is not the reality. At least maybe not still now. So they talk about that, how much attachment we have to things, how much desires, expectations, things are what they are, but you can have 1,000 different ways of looking at it. Okay, so if you take, for example, you take the rain. The rain is the rain. It's just water falling down the sky. Okay, for some people, rain is amazing. They love it. They love the sound. They love getting wet. They love playing in it. For some other people, rain sucks. It's annoying. I get wet. My hair gets crazy. I don't like my shoes wet. My socks get wet. I am cold. And it's the same thing, but we have so many different views of that thing. We have so many stories. We put different meaning to the exact same thing. So that is also like a mental perturbation. That is a way for us to see things from different angles that sometimes it's just not the reality anymore. It's just the story that you are associating to that reality. It's the meaning that you are placing to that experience. Another beautiful example that comes to mind is, for example, imagine that you are walking down the street and you witness an accident. So there is an accident, there is something traumatic that happened. If there are 20 people there that saw that accident, I can tell you that every single person of those 20 people are going to react completely differently. Some people will be traumatized. Some people won't care. Some people will be a little bit moved, but they are taking action. Some people will be completely paralyzed. So the exact same experience, the exact same accident has 20 different reactions, 20 different meanings, 20 different stories. And it's the exact same event. So this is another example of how we as humans and our mind and the experiences that we have, what we have learned about the world, the belief systems that we may have and follow, may dictate the meaning that we give to an experience. And this is something that they talk about. All these mental perturbations, all these mental states that we get into, and how important it is to be able to detach from all these things and to just come to the present moment, to what really is. And when you can do that, that's when they talk about how important it is to prioritize your inner peace, because that is the only thing that really exists. Everything else, it's temporal. Everything else is impermanent. Everything else comes and goes. The only thing that you can control, the only thing that is really true, is your inner peace. So regardless of what's happening, you can choose to feel well. You can choose to be peaceful, and then you take care of something, and then you take action on whatever. But they say always prioritize your inner peace first. That is the most important thing that you can do. So Kathleen says, my sister passed away unexpectedly 2 weeks ago. I'm really sorry about your loss, Kathleen. Our entire family got together to celebrate her life. It had been years since we were all together. She didn't want us mourning or crying. Since she passed, I keep trying about all the things I want to do that I have been putting off. Amazing for me that you are talking about this today. Yeah, Kathleen, isn't it interesting how things happen? Isn't it interesting that maybe I am doing this talk just for you? Maybe you need to hear this. Maybe you need to reflect about this. Synchronicity, absolutely. Yeah. So what do you guys think so far of what I have shared? What called to you? What is something that you feel that is interesting? Have you felt a resistance about something that I have shared that you felt like, ooh, it's interesting to really reflect about where you guys are at right now. Yeah, feel free to use the chat to share like whatever is present for you right now. And then I can keep going after with some other ideas that I wanna share about. Tomorrow is not promised, so live each day with grace. Yeah, that is beautiful, Monica. Tomorrow is not promised, so we don't know if we're gonna make it until tomorrow. So finding that balance about what we want to do, who we want to become, the things that are really important to us. Like if there is a deadline, like if you knew, for example, that you are gonna die in 2 months from now, what would you do? How would you react, right? What will your priorities be? And this is not something about getting obsessed about this idea, okay, and going in this dark spiral, but it's something really to think about, like, wow, like what will I do if I knew I only had 1 year left, for example, 2 years left? And then thinking about the priorities that you will set in your mind and how will you use your time and energy, it can really help you to start changing your life now. And maybe you have 40 years, who knows, but why wait? Sometimes, why are we waiting for? So this says, prioritizing inner peace definitely resonates with me. The importance of prioritizing your own peace and creating stability. Praying for Kathleen and her family. Stuck by language of protecting peace versus cultivating peace. Assumption that it is already there now. Yeah, cultivating peace sounds amazing. And this is something really important also to notice, right? The power of the words, okay? And this is another example of this attachment, of this mental perturbation that we may have. The same word can mean something completely different to each of you. The tone of a specific word can mean something completely different to you. So for example, if I say a word that maybe triggers you because you had an experience and someone told you that word in that specific tone, and I say that, you are going to be triggered by that because it's going to make you remember that event. another person will hear the exact same thing and they won't care about it. So this is another example of how we place meaning. This is another example of another mental perturbation of the reality has nothing to do with the meaning that we assign to it. And this is the work. The work is to learn how to keep cultivating that inner peace regardless of what happens outside, regardless of what happened to us. It's kind of like healing, processing, being present as much as possible, and being aware of what's happening, but kind of seeing things come and go. And you choose how you react to them. You choose how, what you think about them. Or you become aware of like, wow, I am noticing this about myself. I am noticing that when this person is saying that, I am feeling something in the pit of my stomach. Or I am feeling my neck goes like this. So there is really something there for me to explore, to heal, to process, to discover. And this really connects really nicely with healing, connects very nicely with when I talk about executive functioning skills and I talk about metacognition, for example. Metacognition is the skill that allows you to be present, allows you to reflect, it allows you to notice what's happening, how you are acting, what you are feeling. So that skill goes really nicely with how can you become aware of any mental perturbations that you may have by being present, by observing yourself, by using that executive functioning skill to really notice. And maybe you have a practice, maybe you have a meditation practice, maybe you go for a walk by yourself in solitude and you think about something that happened to you, and then you start noticing what's going on. And then you start noticing, wow, this is happened, this is a pattern I have. And then you have the option to start choosing to do something different, start choosing to react differently to that pattern, to that trigger. Another executive functioning skill that really helps with this is emotional self-regulation and impulse control. Emotional self-regulation allows you to manage the emotions that may show up when you are noticing, when you are reflecting, when you are becoming aware of something that you may not like. Or maybe you are remembering a situation that is really stressful, or it created anxiety, or someone did something that really hurt you, or someone passed away and you are still grieving and you are really feeling the sadness in you. Emotional self-regulation is something that allows you to manage those emotions, give them space, process them, express them. And then impulse control is your ability to pause between you noticing something and then you reacting to it. Instead of you reacting unconsciously, maybe doing something that you will regret, you will notice something, you will give a pause, a few seconds, and then you will decide how you want to react to it. And that is impulse control. You are learning how to stay present with that discomfort, with that trigger, and don't do something that you have always done the same way and it doesn't serve you anymore. So you get to choose to start doing something different. Amazing. Hi Elena, welcome. And then something that also connects with this very nicely, with all these topics that we are talking about inner peace and becoming aware of all these mental perturbations, and really talking about how can we become aware of them, how can we process them, how can we change them, and how can we prioritize that inner peace when we are in the middle of something that is emotional, right? And something that really connects really nicely with this is the law of attraction that I have talked about in past lives, and I have some audio tracks that you can listen to. And the law of attraction states how important it is how you feel. And feeling is one of the main tools for you to be able to attract what you want in your life. And the law of attraction also states that whatever you are feeling, whatever you are thinking about and feeling, the majority of the time, that's what you are going to get more of. Okay? So if you are always worrying, that is a mental perturbation, always worrying about what can happen, that is not real, but you are worrying about what can happen, you are vibrating, you are feeling that fear, and then you are going to start attracting more of that. If you are on the other side, looking at the bright side of things, you are connecting with the possibilities that could happen, and you are feeling, well, wow, that would be amazing, I can do this, and I'm gonna feel this way, and you actually start feeling that, even though the event didn't happen yet, but you start anticipating that feeling, then the law of attraction states that if you are feeling that, you are vibrating that, you are going to attract more of that. So it's very interesting how this inner peace and mental perturbations connect with also the law of attraction and what that states. And I don't know if you believe in that or not, but it really connects really well with it. What do you guys think about that? I'm curious to know. Johan says, good morning, long time since I have heard you, Emilio. Thank you for coming back, Johan. I took a little bit of a time off back in September, and I came back, and now I will be doing lives on and off because I have another trip next week that we're going away. But I did schedule all the lives for the next until the end of the year, so you will see them on my profile under events. So yeah, all this. Michelle says, respond, not react. Yeah, Michelle, beautiful. It's learning how to respond differently. That is the work. And regardless of what happens to us, really keeping in mind that question about how can I prioritize my inner peace first? And then I will take care of whatever needs to be done. But how can I, regardless of what happens, how can I keep my inner peace in this situation? How can I prioritize it? And I know it's difficult. I have a hard time sometimes to do that because I forget. But that is the work, to remind yourself as often as you can, how am I feeling? How is my inner peace? Am I taking care of myself? What do I need in this moment to feel better? How can I take care of myself and take care of whatever priority is happening? So I heard a good tip the other day. Don't waste a worry on something you can't change. Yeah, amazing, Linia. That is amazing. Exactly. Don't waste a worry on something that you can't change. It just doesn't make any sense. You can change how you react to things. You can change the meaning that you give to things. You can change what you do in the future. But what has happened cannot be changed. So why worry about something that you can't change anymore? But it's easier to be said than to be done, right? So what is a mental perturbation that you guys notice that you have? In my case, one of them that is really annoying for my wife, Samantha, is connecting with the worst case scenario. Always. She shares an idea and the first thing my mind goes to, yeah, but did you think about la? And she's like, oh, you always find what can go wrong. What about all the things that can go right? And it's like, you are right. I want to connect with the possibilities and all the things that can go right because they can happen too. Why my mind only goes, the tendency is always to go to the worst case scenario, just to be ready, because if it happens, I will know what to do. But then think about my vibration, think about what I'm feeling. Am I feeling good? Am I feeling excited? Or am I feeling fear and hesitation? And just think about that. What do you think I am vibrating? And then what am I going to attract more of? So that's why it's so important to catch yourself. So I need to catch myself doing that. And okay, Emilio, here you are, trying to protect yourself, going to the worst case scenario. So it makes sense that you are doing that because you think it's gonna help you. Be prepared. But the reality is that that's one option of 1,000. of probably more than that. So try to find the gold instead. Try to find what can go right. Try to find the possibilities and connect with that. Get excited about that. Take action with that in mind. And the outcome is gonna probably be way better if I do that. But in the moment, my work is to use that metacognition, that executive functioning skill, to catch myself, go into the worst case scenario, and to try and change that. That is the mental perturbation that is driving me in that moment. And my inner peace, it's being affected because I am not feeling well. I am not feeling safe. I am feeling threatened. I am feeling like something can go wrong and I have to do something to fix it. So I think this is one example of how a mental perturbation can just destroy your inner peace. What we worry about usually does not happen. Yeah. Anne says, work has been difficult lately. Definitely been thinking about the worst outcomes. Yeah, so that's the work, Anne. You are like me, right? And Monica, what we worry about usually doesn't happen, and that's true. So we are worrying about something that is not real, it may not happen, and the amount of energy that we are wasting is insane. That is a huge mental perturbation. Perfectionism, it's another big one. We may find ourselves procrastinating because of those mental perturbations, and we stop taking action on things that may be important to us because of those mental perturbations. And when you are in that state, when we are there, we don't have inner peace. We don't feel well. And so the question is like, how can I recover? How can I nurture my inner peace again from this situation? How can I get out of this and go back to feeling well, regardless of what's happening? And stop identifying ourselves with the outcomes. This is something that I'm guilty of too. I place my self-worth on what I create, what I make, how I show up, and then if things outside don't go well or they don't go the way I would like them to go, my self-worth gets affected. And it's like, Emilio, you have to detach. You are Emilio, you are full, you are perfect, you are a being, and what you do or don't do, what happens outside of you, is just temporary, it's irrelevant, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna keep being Emilio regardless of what I do or I don't do, if I fail or I don't fail. It's just, okay, I failed here, so what? Okay, I did this great, so what? That shouldn't have an impact on how I feel about myself. So that is another mental perturbation, is I attach myself to the outcomes of what I do, what I get involved in, to the point that sometimes I lose myself and my inner peace gets affected by that, by the exterior results that are temporary, are impermanent. So I do that. I try to remember that most of the things I worry about never happens, and whatever happens, I am able to handle it. Amazing. Amanda says, my husband is very critical and always thinks like that, and he can't understand how it really upsets me. Yeah, Amanda, my wife also feels that way. She calls me many times, Emilio, you're like a saboteur. There is a game that is called Saboteur. I don't know if you guys have played it, but basically there's a team of people and you have to try to make like a tunnel, and one of the team members is a saboteur. His job is to put obstacles, to do something, to change the route, and you have to find who the saboteur is. That is the game. But then it's all the team against the saboteur. So the saboteur has to move, has to sneak in ways that no one will notice him until it's too late. And then the team won't be able to finish the tunnel and get to the other side. So she says so many times, there he is, the saboteur Emilio. And then that's my wake-up call. Okay, I am doing it again. Sorry. So yeah, so this is a constant work. This is something that you have to keep working at, keep watching yourself, keep reminding yourself. So what are some practices that you can do to make sure that you are nurturing your inner peace, so that you are feeling well, that you are not attaching You are not like putting your self-worth into things outside of you. And how can you start doing something that it helps you feel good now, right? I need it not to affect me because he won't change. Yeah, Amanda, exactly. You have to find a way not to affect you, because if he doesn't want to change, you cannot make someone change if they don't want to. But you can change how you react to it. You can change the boundaries you set. You can change the way you communicate. So you can change things in you that may have an impact on how things are outside. But you cannot force someone else to do something that they don't want to. But you can make very clear that he understands how you feel. He understands how important this is for you. He understands his actions, the impact that they have on you. That's something that you can make sure that he really truly understands that, because maybe he doesn't, right? Favorite worry quote from Nancy says, worrying is like paying a debt that you don't owe. I love that. So worrying is like paying a debt that you don't owe. So if something is not yours, but you are paying for something that you don't even have. So that is a good one. Nancy, I like it. Yeah, so guys, do you have any questions so far of everything that I have shared? Any aha moments, anything you wanna share, anything that you notice that you do to help you nurture your inner peace? And I'm happy to share some of the things that I do on a regular basis to try and get back to feeling good, get back to nurturing that inner peace. And of course, as you can imagine, in that meditation retreat, one of the main tools that they use is meditation. So they really sit in meditation every day, a few times. They really have structure about what they do in those meditations. They open their doors to everybody who is interested. So they are giving back. So they are creating a lot of dharma, a lot of positive impact in other people. They are sharing, they are being very generous with their time, with their energy, with their presence. So those are things that you will notice that when you are giving back can look like so many different ways. You can give money, you can give your time, you can give your help, you can give a smile, you can be nice to people, you can do things that will have a positive impact on other people. You can do so many things to give back, and that would make you feel really good. Another activity that is wonderful is to just spend time with yourself and become aware of what you need, and then create a self-care list. And this is something that I talk about a lot, but it's truly one of the best ways for you to start nurturing that inner peace. Okay. So Monica says, this may sound cheesy, but as soon as I wake up, I say, thank you, God, for today. It's going to be a good day. There is good in every day. Maybe not all day, but good moments in each day. Yeah, Monica, at the end of the day, you can choose that, right? And no matter what happens, if you really want to, you can see positive in everything that happens to you. In everything, really. Because everything has a reason. Everything has a reason why it's happening. We may not understand it in that specific moment, but we can choose to find the gold in every situation. And many times, how many of you guys, and I'm sure that everybody's gonna say me, how many of you in the past had a bad experience, what was supposed to be a really bad experience, and then years later, they look back at their life and they realize, wow, if that bad experience didn't happen, this, and this will not have happened. And I am grateful for that bad experience, because thanks to that, I am here now. Like, how many of you can think of one of those? Because I can think of a lot of them, that if they didn't happen, I will not be where I am now. I would not have learned what I needed to learn. I would not have changed the way I needed to keep evolving as a person. So just think about that. How many times you can go back to the past and realize, wow, if that didn't happen, this and that will not have happened. That is something really to look about, how the meaning, how the feeling that we have about things can change over time, and how something that seemed to be bad, it ended up being good, and vice versa. Something that seemed to be really good, it became really bad, and at the end, the event is the exact same thing. It is the meaning, it is how we look at it that has changed. So Lori says, meditation, deep, slow breathing, gratefulness, going for a walk in nature, music, all help me promote my inner peace. Yeah, journaling helps me, breathing, walking my doggy, talking to friends, and of course inside timer, but I find I need all hands on deck, including therapy, different types for grief, pain, depression, anxiety. Also music, positive talks, meditation, and acupuncture. So there is not a right or wrong way of creating your self-care list and becoming aware of what you need. And I really invite all of you to have a self-care list. Okay, this is my self-care list. It's the one I had for the last month. And anytime I feel it's not relevant, I will do a new one. But the goal is to become aware of what you want, to become aware of things that make you feel well. And when I created this one, and then my intuition guided me to think about what are things that I can do in less than 5 minutes, and then what are activity types. So what are physical things that I can do? And I put a green color. What are relaxing activities I can do? And I put an orange color. What are creative activities I can do? And they are yellow. What are fun and playful activities I can do? And they are purple. And what are social activities I can do? And they are blue. And then I have things to do with Samantha, with my wife, things to do with my daughter, with Eva. And then when you look at it, for some of you, this may be overwhelming, okay? But if you have done this practice for a long time, you are just going to evolve your list. It's just gonna be easier and easier for you to do this. And when I look at this, I first think, what do I need now? And sometimes I've been sitting for a long time and I just need movement and I need to have fun. So I will look for something that is playful and something that is active. Maybe going and playing paddle, playing tennis, getting on my unicycle, going for a run, going for juggling my balls, something like that. I know that's what I need. Sometimes I'm tired and I just feel I just need to relax. So maybe I do a meditation, a guided meditation. I lay down, I put my back straight on the ground, I open my arms, and I do a little bit of breathing, and that's what I need in that moment to come back to nurturing that inner peace that I lost. So these are some of the things that you can create, okay? But this is just one example of mine. So as you can see, you can see different colors. You can see that I did some drawings too. And this is from 2020. So it's been almost 3 years now, or more than 3 years. But it's still relevant for me. And you know what happens? Like, I don't even need to look at this anymore. And there are things that I do now that they are not even here, but because I'm practicing it every single day. So, and that's the secret. When you start doing this, you don't need to look at a piece of paper anymore. It becomes a habit. So another thing that I do, that I have shown this many times, this is my magic rock, okay? So this is an activity that my daughter Eva, my wife Samantha, and me, we did years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago. And this is something that I have on my bedside table. Every time I look at it, this is a reminder for me to think about what is the best moment of the day. What am I grateful for today, and what is the best experience I had today? And what this does is, like, it takes me out of wherever I am, and it forces me, it invites me to go through my day and start noticing what are the good experiences I had and which one is the best one. And this is gratefulness put into action. You are just being grateful. Oh, I'm grateful for my daughter because she gave me a kiss when I dropped her at school. Wow, my wife made me an amazing lunch today. And I talked to my friend, and he was super happy about that, and I'm so happy for that. So that was a really good moment. And I'm trying to find the best moment of the day. But getting there, it's inviting me to look at everything that happened. And then when you are feeling grateful, when you are feeling well, you are not feeling bad. So you cannot feel good and bad at the same time. And this is another thing that you could do. Have a visual reminder of some sort that when you look at it, you remind yourself, hey, let's look at what happened today, the good stuff, and the stuff that made me feel well. So what do the colors mean? So the colors of my self-care list means activity type. Okay, so I have different colors for different activity types. Why? Because I found that self-care practices can be physical, they can be creative, they can be fun, playful, they can be social, they can be relaxing, they can be, and you can come up with whatever adjectives you need. For some of you, maybe you come up with, I want self-care practices to be, I want spiritual, I want meditation, I want relaxing, and maybe for you that is having a bubble bath, or having a massage, or having a, I don't know, getting under a blanket with your partner and watching a movie. So you can create whatever you want. This is just a reminder. And you know what? You do this and then you share it with your partner, with the people you love. And anytime I'm feeling down, my wife will come and say, hey, have you done any of this today? Why don't you grab your juggling balls and juggle in front of me for 30 seconds? And I will be, I don't want to, please do it. And I will do it, and I will be like, automatically, 30 seconds. That's what it took, right? So, very important. Sunshine on my face is always helpful for me. Yeah, sunshine is amazing. About a month ago, I started walking on my treadmill, followed by meditation. I do this night after I get dressed and make my bed. It has now become a habit, so I don't have to think about doing it. Yeah, that's the thing. You don't have to think about doing it. When you do something and you repeatedly do it for a few days, it becomes a habit. Inner peace is one very important way. We also have a duty, I feel, to speak up when we see injustice. Yeah, absolutely. Expressing what you see is also very important. Finding the way to do that is also an art, because the impact of your words, think about intention versus impact. Sometimes we have an intention when we are saying something, but the impact of the way we say that thing, the words that we use, the impact on the other person can be very different to the intention that we had. And this is something to keep in mind. I remember with my ex-girlfriend, sometimes we were having an argument, and I was reflecting, it's like, but I think what I was saying was right. And then after a few hours, we will get together and I will ask her, like, what happened? And then she will tell me, like, Emilio, what you were saying was right, and I agree with it. But I didn't like the delivery. I didn't like the way you told me. I didn't like this expression, bad expression that you had. I didn't like the tone of your voice. I didn't like you being on my face like this. So the exact same message delivered on a different way has a completely different impact. So just think about that, because your inner peace and the people you love's inner peace can be affected by what you do, the actions that you choose, and the way you do things. And sometimes it's just a matter of refining your delivery, finding a different way of expressing, maybe asking about, what do you need to feel safe when we are talking about this? What do you need me to do? What are you noticing that is bothering you from the way I share this with you? Just be curious, ask questions. Maybe the other person doesn't even know, but they will kind of feel it. So yeah, very important topic. You fed my energy. Thank you, Emily. I have to run. You fed my inner peace this morning. Amazing, Barb. Thank you so much for coming. Great idea to look at such a chart. I am sending my love to everyone from southern Maine in Wawanaki territory in the northeast of the indigenous homelands of America. Thank you so much, Heidi. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you got some inspiration. I hope that you find ways to cultivate your inner peace on a daily basis. Don't forget about doing that. Set reminders, have a magic stone, create your self-care list, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you check in with yourself often, that you have a practice of some sort to help you ground yourself, to help you come back to that inner peace, whatever that means to you, and to really become aware of what's happening, how is what's happening impacting me, and regardless of what's happening, and I will take care of it, what can I do first to prioritize my inner peace so that I can show up from that place? Because you can show up for priorities, you can show up for emergencies from your inner peace, or you can show up for those things from being stressed, from a mental perturbation, being afraid, being stressed, being annoyed, frustrated, angry, sad. So there is a lot of places that you can act from, and our job is to try and start acting more from that inner peace rather than from these temporary mental perturbations that sometimes they take the wheel and they start driving us, and we end up in places that we don't like. So as always, if you enjoyed this talk and you can support me with a donation, I would love to receive it, and I hope to see you in the next live. You can find all the events that I have scheduled on my events page, on my profile, Inside Timer profile. Okay, so you can see the ones I have until the end of the year. You can join there, and you can join my circle. It's called Your Thriving Lifestyle. And remember that I have 5 courses. One of them I talk about today, about executive functioning skills, but I have one about self-care. I have another one about minimalism. I have one about intentional time management, and I have one about creating your peaceful and clutter-free home. Okay, so they are all designed to help you cultivate your inner peace in different ways. So depending what you need right now, you can choose one or the other. Okay, amazing. Thank you guys for being here. I hope that you guys have an amazing weekend, and I will see you in the next live. Okay, amazing. Thank you guys. Adios.